Burlington is taking aim at Ross stores and TJX with a smaller store format. According to the Wall Street Journal, unlike Burlington, whose locations were historically the size of department stores, Ross and TJX brands have always operated smaller format stores. Burlington's gradual downsizing accelerated under the leadership of their current chief executive, Michael O'Sullivan, who joined the company in 2019 after 16 years at Ross, where he ended his tenure as president and chief operating officer. Burlington, which has 1,103 stores today, plans to open about 100 net new locations and relocate a couple dozen annually through 2029. The company believes it will eventually grow to 2,000 total stores, O'Sullivan said. John, one more time, right to you. Does the American consumer need more smaller format Burlington stores?
Yeah, I'll give my kind of quick pitch, and I think Kelly will probably have a bigger perspective here as well. But my feeling is yes. I think
Yes.
Burlington is like they have consecutive quarters of double digit growth. So like they
Mm-hmm.
are really moving forward in this trend of like off price fashion. The other thing that really drew me to this is, and it's a little bit linked to our conversation with Target previously, is what do great retailers do consistently that bad retailers are like don't do? And
Yep.
that is turn inventory. And
Mm-hmm.
Burlington turn inventory, and a smaller format for me will only accelerate how good they are at that already, because they know what they need to do. They don't need to stuff stores with products that people don't need. They don't need to buy inventory that they don't
Interesting.
need. And I think it's going to accelerate their turns. That's my first kind of thought when I looked at this. The other
Yeah.
thing is that we see consumers enjoy smaller stores now. They
Mm-hmm.
prefer a smaller convenience store they get in and out of, and you can still have a treasure
Yes.
hunt aspect to that without then needing a department store size. So for me, I see like literally zero downside to this for Burlington. I think it's a smart play. I think it's going to financially make sense. It also it's them listening to their customers. So I would kind of be really interested to see the impact, because I don't see a negative.
Yeah, I agree with you. Kelly, where do you land on this one? Are you thinking that the smaller store format is the way to go?
I do think the smaller store format is a good way to go for them. And in particular, looking at the types of real estate that they're moving into,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just smaller format, but I think they mentioned, former Big Lots, former Bed Bath and
Mhm.
Beyond. So they're moving into these spaces where people are, it's a likely the demographic they're looking for. Bed Bath Beyond, they have home goods, so people are looking for this broader assortment, which has also
Right.
been a big effort of theirs over the last few years to ditch the coats only
Yeah.
merchandising branding. And I was really surprised to find out coats are only about 5% of their sales nowadays, which
Yeah.
surprised me. I didn't know, but I do think smaller format, the locations they're choosing will be good for them. And I just agree. I think that discovery and kind of treasure hunt aspect that they're looking to bring and emulate like the other off-pricers can be really overwhelming in a big space.
Hmm.
There's stuff everywhere. You don't know, are you taking the store quadrant by quadrant? So that smaller format is just giving you a tighter space to actually find things to buy. So I'm excited to
Right.
see where this goes.
Right. And to John's point too, I think it allows you to update the inventory more frequently, giving people a reason to come back time and time again, maybe more frequently than just going to buy the coats for, winter time or back to school stuff, or like those key moments where you might go in there. Now it's kind of getting more of that cachet that TJX and Ross have too. Chris, what about you? What do you think about this? Are you pro going small format?
Well, I gotta tell you guys, with all respect, with all three of you, I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with
Oh, I
all of you.
see. You're trying to
I
trick
think it.
us.
I was trying to trick you. Yes, I think it's a great move. And the reason I would call out is similar to what everyone was saying, but the one point I would make here was the macroeconomic tailwind is at their back in terms of how people are shopping. People are showing a propensity to. We just interviewed Placer's Ethan Chernovsky yesterday for an upcoming webinar, and he told us about how people are willing to make extra trips to stores where they can find products they can't find anywhere else. And that's what the treasure
Mhm.
hunt's all about. So, I think similar to what we've seen in terms of success with Sprouts and Trader Joe's, getting that extra trip in the grocery space, O'Sullivan appears to have found a smaller footprint that he thinks works in that same vein to get that extra trip from people, and is scaling the prototype. So like we talked about in the last headline, this is just good merchandising. And so, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the images of some of these prototype stores, they look better. They look more inviting. They're more organized. Like the whole shopping experience is so much better for this off-price shopper, which I think is, just to close with, again, Kelly's point of people are going back to these spaces where they expected to see Bed Bath and Beyond. And it's almost like they're rediscovering Burlington in these same environments. Like I didn't know Burlington had home goods, but you're going in there with a similar visual shopping experience. And I imagine that the savings that they're getting from consolidating real estate will help them continue to expand that and roll that out to newer stores.
Yeah, great point. And the other trend that's happening here is people are more and more people are shopping off-price retailers, right? That's another macroeconomic trend that's happening. And so there's probably room for a new entrant in this space too. If you're not a new entrant, but a more substantial determination to go after that business, I think, to be that third or even that second or first player over the long run.
One final point on this, I think to give Burlington some more props is it's a really good example of them witnessing things happening in a macro retail environment that they can take advantage of, right? So we mentioned they're taking Bed Bath, Big Lot stores. So they see that there's real estate they wouldn't have normally gotten access to. And then they've thought, well, actually, we also think we can be make a consumer-centric decision that takes advantage of that opportunity. So it actually kind of satisfies two needs at the same time. It's really, really clever play, I think, overall from them then.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and for all those retail executives out there, the one thing I've learned in my 25 years of covering retail now is I'd rather work for a company that's going with water downhill than trying to push water uphill, right? And the companies pushing water uphill like Macy's, et cetera. It's a tough game.